everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Uncloaked. This week we are going to be talking about the clairs. So we're going to be talking about the different ways that you can receive psychic information. This video has been requested by a few people, so I thought I would prioritize it and make it now. A lot of people think that if you're psychic, it's like in the movies, and it's like, you get a vision, or you get a premonition, or, people view it as being it must be very otherworldly and magical in a stereotypical way. But really, the ways that you receive psychic information are much more subtle than you would think. And a lot of people are much more in touch with their psychic abilities than they even realize. Especially if you are a water sign, especially if you are a Pisces water sign, you are probably very, very psychic and you don't even know it. So I wanted to make this video because, one, if you're aware of the ways that you can receive psychic information, you can train and practice and build your skills to be able to receive psychic information better and more clearly. And two, you might already be experiencing one of these clairs and not even know that you are. So maybe while you're watching this video, you'll realize, oh my god, that happens to me, and you'll realize that you've been experiencing one of the clairs. So there are 6 different types of clairs. So it's like the 5 senses, but with an extra one added on. So there's clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance, clairaudience, clairgustance, and clairalience. You've probably heard some of them as being a type of superpower, which is, just fiction. It's just dramatized reality. Clairvoyance is one of the ones that a lot of people have heard of. Clairvoyance is clear sight. So if someone is receiving psychic information through clairvoyance, they may see images that seem to be almost like a movie, either of the past or the future, of the present. If you were clairvoyant and you were doing a divination to find a lost item, you might see an image in your mind of where that lost item is currently hiding. If you're doing a psychic reading for someone else and you're clairvoyant, you may see an image of their past or an image of a family member or an image. You'll receive things visually. So if you are clairvoyant, you receive your psychic messages visually. Clairaudience is clear hearing. So if you are receiving information clairaudiently, you are hearing things. Maybe you're hearing the sound of a train, or you're hearing the sound of someone saying a word to you in your mind. You could hear anything. Whatever the information is, you might hear it through words being spoken to you, or you might hear miscellaneous sounds. And usually clairaudience is often grouped together with kind of being telepathic, which I think is somewhat true, but it's not quite. Clairaudience isn't hearing other people's thoughts, really. You might occasionally, if you are very clairaudient, hear a little smidgen or something of what someone else is thinking or feeling, especially if you're an empath. But usually it's not so much hearing other people's thoughts and feelings, it's more so receiving information during divination and spell work through sound and through hearing things within your mind. Claircognizance is clear knowing. So claircognizance is a little bit more of a gray area. Unlike the other 5 where they're all attached to the 5 senses, claircognizance is kind of its own little outlier floating on the side. Claircognizance is when you just have this overwhelming feeling of knowing something that you don't really have any reason to know. Whether that's about a topic that you've never studied, or about an event that happened in the past that you've never learned about, or just anything that you're not really physically knowledgeable of, but you suddenly have this overwhelming feeling of knowing, like you know what the answer is. And claircognizance can be very difficult if you're trying to find the ways that you receive psychic information. Claircognizance can be very difficult to pin down as a way that you receive psychic information, simply because it can be hard to discern, am I making this up, or is this really truly claircognizance? But as you practice and as you get more aware of what's my ego and what's my true psychic abilities, then it's easier to distinguish the two. But you just have to get there through practice. Clairsentience is clear feeling. So that is when you would receive psychic information through physical feeling. So maybe you'll feel an overwhelming sensation of warmth or cold. The example that I always hear used and see used in books is if someone around you was having a panic attack and you are clairsentient, you would feel that panic attack within you. Maybe not to the full extent, but you would be able to feel what they were feeling and tap into that sense that they are having of that panic attack. Clairgustance is clear taste. So if you're receiving information through clairgustance, you are tasting something. Like if you suddenly taste chocolate, that's not physically explainable. You're not eating chocolate. So that's clairgustance. And then clairalience is clear smell. So if you are receiving information this way, you would suddenly smell something. So say a lot of people experience this when a loved one passes on. So maybe you're just in your house living your life and then all of a sudden you smell the cologne of a loved one that has passed on. Or maybe you are doing a reading for someone and suddenly you smell apple pie and you ask them, did your mother make apple pie for you as a child? And they're like, yes. So it's, you can receive things through smell also. So those are the 6 different clairs. Spend some time really studying each clair and figuring out your relationship with each clair. Sometimes you might think that you are specifically 1 clair or 2 clairs, and then as you're studying and growing your skills and practicing more spiritually, you'll find that other clairs are starting to develop within yourself, or maybe you had clairs that you didn't even realize you've always had. I personally never ever thought that I was any kind of clair anything. I felt like I was not very psychic at all and didn't have any kind of ability like that my whole childhood. But once I got older and I started studying spirituality, started to realize, looking back, oh, I've always had a few of these. I just didn't know. So I personally am mostly claircognizant and clairvoyant. So when I do readings for people, I am very clairvoyant in that I will see images, I will see faces of people. I'm not very clairaudient, so I don't usually receive names of people or words. I normally receive images and flashes of moments. And my claircognizance is pretty much consistent all the time. Very claircognizant a lot of the time. In my personal life and outwardly with others. So, and this is partially because I am an empath. So if you are an empath, you might also find that you are very claircognizant because you're so connected as an empath with other living things, especially human beings, that you might just clearly know what's going on with someone or how someone's feeling or that there's something someone's not saying or anything like that because you are so in touch with them emotionally that the claircognizance just kind of comes along with it. And I'll make a whole video on empaths and how to discover if you are an empath and self-care for empaths, because empaths really have to guard themselves closely. So if you're not sure if you're an empath or if you don't know much about empaths, we'll make a video about it, no worries. But something that also can come along with being an empath is clairsentience. So again, going back to that idea of if someone in the room with you is having a panic attack, you may kind of feel that panic attack within you as well. And I experience that very greatly. I'm very clairsentient in that if someone, especially with physical sensations, I am extremely clairsentient, like to the point where I'm really working hard on trying to get it under control because it's very unpleasant. Like if I watch Grey's Anatomy, and if you have seen Grey's Anatomy, you know that it can be rather unpleasant. And, weird things happen medically. So if something is happening on the screen that is physically painful or physically upsetting, I really have to guard myself because I'll find myself feeling those physical sensations within my body. And then I start to feel convinced that there's something wrong with my physical body, like what's happening on the screen. But in reality, I'm fine. I'm just receiving energetically what's being portrayed on the screen. And you may have moments of all 6 of these. For example, I am pretty much never clairalience. I have a really horrible sense of smell, so I pretty much never smell anything. But my father did pass away a couple years ago, so I do occasionally smell him. So that is a way that I normally am not clairalient at all, but I do occasionally experience moments of clairalience. So like me, you probably have 2 or 3, or maybe even just one that is really, really strong within you as your psychic ability. And then the others are, lingering, and they'll come and go. And you can, if you feel like you don't have any of these, you can grow them. You can work on them. These are a skill. It's not, people love to portray the clairs and psychic abilities as being like a gift that you're born with. And yes, that is somewhat true. Some people are much more psychic than others. Some people tend to have an easier time working on their psychic abilities than others. But it's not as if the door is completely closed for you if you've never experienced one of these clairs or you've never felt like you were psychic. And a really good way to just get in touch with all of these clairs and start to work on them and discover which ones are strongest for you is to start doing a lot of divination. Do a type of divination that involves you interpreting it. And you could do tarot. Tarot you do have to interpret. But I would recommend doing something more like a pendulum, like runes or Reiki or the Akashic Records. That's really where you find out how you receive psychic information, because you are asking questions and you yourself have to receive them. The reason why I say practice with divination but maybe don't really rely on practicing with tarot is because with tarot, I think, especially if you're just starting tarot, you can get kind of caught up in what does this card mean? And when you're working with the clairs, you do not want to be in your ego mind. You want to be free of your physical societal view of what you should be receiving or what the answer is. You want to be in your spiritual self. So that is all about the clairs. I hope that you guys have fun discovering what clairs you're most in tune with. If you have any questions about the clairs, or if you feel like you need any more support, comment down below with your questions. If you have video requests, comment those down below too. I love to take requests. I will prioritize any topics that you guys want prioritized. I want to thank all my subscribers too. I'm almost to 100 subscribers, and that's very exciting. It's a small milestone, but it feels big to me because starting this YouTube channel was terrifying and continues to be terrifying. So thank you so much to the people that have subscribed. I really, really appreciate your support, and I am so honored that you guys like my videos and want to see more. If you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, please like it and subscribe to my channel. I upload videos every Tuesday and every Friday. And if this is the first Uncloaked episode that you're seeing, I have a whole playlist of all my Uncloaked episodes, so click on that and you can watch every witchy video that I've made so far. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.